lights. That harsh. Dark in here.
You know, Cindy, you can make your background blurry, which might
Yeah. Where is that chat screen record show?
go to stop where it says stop video.
Yep.
Open that up, and then there's a
Blur my background.
Yeah, try that. Is that
It's weird, huh? Oh, it's the lights in here.
Okay, you're on. So now go
Is that horrible?
your sounds on and your pictures.
Okay.
Go in the other rooms.
See.
Hi, Lindsay.
Said
It's
hi,
just dark
Lindsay.
in here. Oh well.
Karen said hi.
Hello. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah. Not like normal. Pretty screwed up.
I don't
Okay.
want to blur
Oh.
my background anymore.
You're good, right?
Yeah.
Why is that so blurry? Isn't it blurry?
Well, you're not blurry. You're sort of, well,
Is this
fuzzy,
better?
but
Like you
Yeah,
need
you're
to
blurry.
yeah.
Okay.
take a lens wipe to your camera.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Patty.
Hello, hello.
I know John is not going to be able to make it, so
Right.
it's off in Croatia.
Is he sailing?
I don't know what the itinerary was. That's pretty common. That's what we do in Croatia.
Yeah.
But you end up in Dubrovnik and take the Game of Thrones tour. Yeah, that's a big thing to do.
Huh.
So anyway, I guess I will call the meeting to order at 7:30. Okay. Do I have anybody that would like to make comments about anything that is not on the agenda? Guess I could share the agenda. So,
Right.
I'm capable of doing that. Okay, so here's the agenda. So does anybody have anything to talk about not on the agenda? Going once, going twice, sold. Approval of minutes from April 16th.
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
You. Okay, regarding new business, I have 2 or 3 things. Actually, one that came up after this agenda was published, which is allowed because we're non-Brown Act. Regarding the budget update, I'm gonna stop sharing. If anybody needs the budget, let me, or the agenda, let me know. I got a note from Cindy from the town, and I think everybody, or at least not everybody, if you're not, you should be aware that the town is going through some financial challenges, both in terms of money and in terms of processes. So the note I got from Cindy indicated that basically for the new fiscal year, which starts, I believe it's July 1st. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, we'd be going through a budget process right now, setting the budget for next year. But they are delaying that process. And what they are doing is they're basically approving all committees at their last year's budget. So they're holding budgets flat year to year. And then what they'll do, hopefully in September, they're hoping that they'll have enough processes in place to go through a normal budget cycle. But for now, we're flat. We were approved for 30,000 last year. I did verify that on the town website. So for now, we have 30,000 for the coming year. Hold on, Karen. Well, okay, I'll take your question.
Well, you might have been about to answer this. So 2 things, where are we through this fiscal year? And second, do funds roll over or are they lost?
The answer to the first question is I do not know. That's actually one of the problems with the town's financial process, is that they are not able to tell us where we are right now. From everything that I've pulled together, Zots to Dots, Town Picnic, the game nights, we are still under the 30,000 by a pretty fair amount, probably about 5,000 is my guess, but don't hold me to that. I imagine that once the budgeting process is able to start, that they will be able to tell us, you know, where we are in the budget. But I think we're okay. And the answer to your second question is no, the funds do not roll over. You start new every year. Okay. Any questions on the budget? Okay, so gold-plated medals for Zots to Dots are out. Sorry. John's not here, so we just have to tell him he's got.
He's not here to defend himself.
He's not, and I just cut his budget, so that's what you get for missing the Parks and Rec meeting. Okay, the second one is Jerry Welch. Do I see you anywhere? I don't see Jerry. Okay, she was going to attend. There are 2 things that we need volunteers for on PV Palooza. One, which is Jerry was going to represent the Cultural Arts Committee and saying they still needed volunteers for certain aspects of just checking people in, directing the crowds, etc. I think you can go on the PV Palooza site and sign up if you think you're able to volunteer. The second one is that Historic Resources Committee was volunteered to put together a booth regarding Portola Valley's 60th anniversary. I don't know if people are aware, but Portola Valley was incorporated in 1964. So this is our 60th anniversary. Happy birthday. And the Historic Resources Committee, of which I am a member, was asked to put together a booth to celebrate the town anniversary. Nancy Lund and I are working on that. However, it turns out that I will be in Boston at my son's graduation on Saturday, June 1st. So if anybody would like to offer an hour or so of their time to man the Historic Resources booth regarding the town celebration, Nancy and I will be glad. She'll be there for part of the time, but she can't be there for the whole time. So it's basically covering for me, which I would appreciate. If you have time, let me know. It's a very straightforward. I can lead you through. It's basically just somebody to kind of be there in the booth. We'll have everything done. But if you have the time and the inclination, I would appreciate some help there. Just let me know offline. So, Cindy,
Oh, I was gonna say I can do that.
you're a sweetheart. Thank you.
What-
Yeah, do you know what time by chance?
It can be flexible. I think Palooza starts around 11 and it goes to like 9. And there's
Yeah.
no way we are going to have the booth open for that long. We were thinking like 11 to 3 or something like that. So we'd probably need somebody to help set up and then maybe, pitch in an hour during that time.
Oh, that'd be fine because we plan to go anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, you can hear the music.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
Patty, is this in addition to them asking us to maybe do something at the town picnic or a different thing from the
Yes.
historic recensor? This is an additional,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. And this is in addition to the 60-year resident tea that we are having. If anybody knows anybody that's lived in the town for 60 years, they are eligible to come to the 60-year anniversary tea, which is being held on Sunday, June 23rd. And if that's the case, they can get hold of me offline. So yeah, let me know offline if you would like to help out. Thank you. Okay, and then the third thing that came up, which is I saw on the town council agenda for tomorrow night that they are proposing raising fees for the next year. And they are only raising them for the consumer price index, which was about 2.5%. So Dave, like field fees go up from 65 to 67. Cindy, I think registration fees for classes, I think they stayed the same. I didn't go through the whole thing because it's mostly building and planning fees that are impacted. Ours were kind of embedded in there, but, and the fees increases were so small, I didn't pay attention to them. But
Okay.
I think we should be aware of them. And I apologize for not having the details, but at tomorrow night's town council meeting, if you look at the town council agenda, buried in the 300 pages, because they're going over the zoning thing, is a proposal to raise the fees. So
It's a proposal now.
it is a proposal. Again, I looked at them, they didn't bother me, they weren't, again, it's just CPI. But I would imagine, and I didn't attend the finance committee yesterday, I'm going to listen to the rehearsal, the recording. I would imagine that there's going to be a review of all fees, given the town's financial situation. And we'll obviously be very involved in that. But I just thought I'd let you guys know. Karen.
So the one question I have, and I didn't realize it was in that package, is our concern over the parking contract with Rosati's Field and the Ford Field fees that are included in that rental form. And both of those, we have tried to let folks know those are way too low. So do you have any idea if those are in this?
Yeah, so the first one is a contract. It's not a fee.
Okay.
So this does not impact the contract. Those parking fees would only be raised if we renegotiated the contract, which should be done. It's just not part of this process. The field parking, boy, that's a good question. I did not look at it.
On the same form.
Yeah, it's on, yeah, that's my concern, is that that really needs to be analyzed.
Well, my guess, Karen, I'll look at it again. My guess is, again, their blanket statement was they were only adjusting for CPI. which
Yeah, just to,
means that-
to chirp in briefly, Patty, you're
I'm
absolutely
sorry,
right.
David.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's nothing in there about anything other than like a 2.4%
Right, right,
generic increase. So there's
right.
there's
So
no
if,
consideration of the parking or anything like that.
right. So even if they were gonna adjust the Ford Field fees, which is $100, it'd now be $102,
Uh,
which of course is not what we're after.
Yeah.
So again, I think this is just, implementing CPI, which may be part of the municipal code. It is not part of, let's look at fees in general and make them right. So that's why I didn't get too worked up about it. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, but tied to that, I guess, and maybe it's not for this meeting, but we need to understand the process, how it, I mean, if we're making recommendations or we're asking for a studying on those fees, how we get some momentum behind these things,
Yeah.
and
agree.
I know their town priorities are such, but it does feel like we just, it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up and doesn't get done. So.
I agree. I agree.
okay.
Yes. Any other comments on that or any other new business?
A quick comment, which is sitting through the finance committee meeting, they have a bunch of subcommittees looking for ways to raise revenue. Finally, so there's like 6 of them or something. So I think that's a good start. If there's a material amount of revenue, which I think there is, then George Savage would be a great entree, because they're looking for any way they can get more money and they can influence the town council, is my only thought.
Right. I did reach out to George privately because I couldn't attend the finance committee meeting yesterday, to let him know that we have been involved in the analysis of field fees, other fees relating to Parks and Rec in the past. And if there was anything to do there, that we wanted to and needed to be involved. Now, again, Rosati's parking is a contract, but I'm assuming that part of what the finance committee needs to do, town needs to do, is revisit all of our current contracts as well and make sure that they're reasonable. And then obviously the Ford Field parking fees would be part of the Parks and Rec discussion. Okay. All right, let's move on then. Old business. Zots to Tots, town picnic update. John isn't here for Zots. I did get Carrie. It is now being put in the town update. It's on the town calendar. So hopefully everybody knows Saturday, September 21st, will be the fun day. I did converse with Ed Holland. He knows the date. So the BPTS committee is going to get started on the safety and security with the sheriff. And Ed indicated that he knows that he owns that. So they're moving ahead with that. I've not started in on any of the town picnic stuff. I did call Sharif. I did let him know that we would need to start reserving some of the things. Probably next week is when I'm going to start doing it, which would mean that we would need approval, budget approval to start spending, because for instance, Stuart Rental needs 50% down or they will not hold the rental. And that's when we had the discussion about the budget. So again, given that we are not at our limit and that we still will be held flat year over year, Sharif indicated that there will be no problem in going ahead with starting to nail down some of the things regarding to the town picnic and ZOTs ahead of time. So there's no concerns there. Other than that, I don't have any update. Anybody else have any questions about ZOTs or town? Karen, are you still gone? We're not gonna have a dunk tank, right?
I'm still on. I'm in Portugal,
Okay,
but
well,
next year we're having the dunk tank.
okay, all right. But you have to be here and you have to man it. 'Cause I'm
Okay.
not gonna do it.
Okay, that's a deal.
Okay.
I'm there.
I did look back on, given that I'm doing some of this 60-year stuff, looking back on some of the old town picnics. And they did used to have a dunk tank.
Yeah,
That is
I
interesting.
remember it.
It was the highlight of my
Yes.
children's picnic. That's
Okay.
for several years. And
Okay.
there were teachers that
Teachers,
actually
yeah.
sat in the dunk tank, which made it
Okay.
even more fun.
Okay,
So I'm on that
okay, all
for
right,
next year.
okay,
Thanks.
all right. You're up for getting volunteers. Okay, let's go on to game night update then.
Game night. Ooh, I got lots of good information on game night. So the do-it-yourself was, so we found that the having the
Oh, before you go there, Cindy,
yeah,
there's a lot of new people on here, which I think is great, but I think they're all here for a future agenda item. But just to set the stage, for game night, we've had 2 very incredible, fun, successful trivia nights. And we'd love to continue with those, but we'd also like to think about, are there other ideas that we can come up with for game nights? And that's where Cindy volunteered to look at some other options. So Cindy, just as you're going through that, you might just want to make sure that you maybe give a little history so that the new
Okay.
people can call.
yeah. So one of the ideas that came up was to have casino night, some sort of casino night that seems to be pretty popular in other places. So we first looked at companies that do that and bring in dealers and bring in the tables and bring in everything. And those cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to have, say, 100 people at a casino night, which seemed pretty steep. So then we decided to look and see what would happen if we did it ourselves. And the things I looked at were, what could I have to do a bingo night, for example, if which we thought would be more family oriented than poker or roulette or whatever. So bingo, it looks like I can get 100-pack of reusable cards for $30. The cage, 50 cards, chips for another $59, and 1,000 chips for $10. So we could have a bingo night for 100 people for $100, which is pretty darn cheap,
Why
And one
bingo
of,
nights are so successful is because they make money.
yeah, because they're not spending anything. That was really
Well, because they
incredible.
charge little old ladies for those cards,
Yeah,
And
so
men.
So-
sorry, little old men too, both
So
men and women.
perhaps we need to recommend this to the finance committee as one of the revenue
We
generators.
can do that, yeah.
Joking.
The town's gonna
well,
crawl
maybe not.
out of their finance, $1.5 million by bingo night. We're gonna do it.
Okay, so then I went into the town hall place and measured the tables to make sure that they'd be okay for anything that we bought. And I looked at blackjack and Texas Hold'em, roulette. I think that's all I looked at, those 3 things, to see what we could do. A 7-player blackjack thing that fits on our tables costs anywhere from $15 to $30, depending on how high quality your felt is. To have a 7-player. Poker chips are $50 for 500. You can get 12 packs of cards for $23. You can Texas Hold'em felt table things are a little bit more expensive. They're like $18. Roulette tabletop is $50. And the wheel and chips and all that you can get for 35. So I put together what I thought would be sort of a hodgepodge of a casino night, to have 6 blackjack tables, 1 roulette table, 2 Texas Hold'em tables, and then have all the chips and cards and all that stuff, and it would be $325. And the only questions we have is, where do we get the dealers, which we'd have to have volunteer dealers. We'd need a place to store this stuff if we buy it. I mean, I don't know, do we have storage?
Yeah, well,
Sort of.
the community hall, I mean, there's.
Yeah, we could store it there, for
Yeah,
future.
well, I don't know. I'm not gonna respond on behalf of the town, but we do have storage. It's a question of
Okay.
whether they want to store it.
Well, that's what I found. It's very, very, very affordable if we did it ourselves. I also looked into, what was it? Was it John that brought up Bunko?
I brought up Bunko. Somebody else brought up Bunko.
You brought it
One of
up,
my-
Bunko?
One of my
Bunko is
bridge
some sort of
players-
dice game.
Yeah. Like a
It would
liar's
only
dice.
cost $50 to do Bunko. But it's funny because I think there's 3 dice per table, and I don't know how we wouldn't have, our tables are too big, basically, to have a Bunko night. That's more of a thing you do at home. So that's what I got.
Okay, so it looks
Very
like,
affordable.
it looks like it's affordable.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, so we could think about a bingo night or a casino night,
Or both.
or both.
Yeah, have family bingo night and adult casino night.
We could, and we could do.
Yeah, good.
So we talked about timing. I mean, we got the town picnic coming up in September. I think we talked about maybe doing something. Did we say like December? Early December?
We could do,
November,
yeah,
December?
I don't remember early December, but I thought we said maybe 3 things, and one of them would be we did trivia night in February.
we were
I mean,
thinking.
we could
May,
push it. I thought we were thinking November, but maybe that's too close to the picnic. December starts to get into the holidays, which could be a problem.
It would have to be before Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, none of these sound like they'd be that complicated to organize.
No, it'd
Just-
be finding dealers. I mean, I'm not a dealer. But I can serve sandwiches.
Well, I could be a dealer, but you know what you need? You need to look into those fancy machines that shuffle the cards. No, I'm serious, because otherwise, you don't, well, shuffling's a big deal.
Okay, let me look into the shuffle. I'll
You know,
be-
Yeah, to
It's
make a
in-
quick comment, anybody who can't shuffle probably doesn't actually know how to deal poker or,
No, but Dave, the thing is, you need to be able to shuffle multiple decks. Because
Well, you know-
accounts like me can count cards.
yeah, well, that,
And
good luck for
for-
you, but I think 1 deck is fine. I just think it's not so simple. I guess if no one cares what the result is, Hold'em or blackjack is okay,
We've
but
got a pretty competitive group. Have you ever been to trivia night?
I'm just saying, I've played a lot of those games for real.
They're knocking each other over to get to
Yeah.
the the
Yeah,
answer.
so I don't think it's that simple to deal with those games. When people have a question about the card on the river, or can I bet this, or what's the ante, or I'm all for it. Shuffling the cards to me is the least of the issues if you're gonna play Hold'em.
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
Okay,
I'd like
well,
to
that-
say that I wouldn't want to be shuffling cards for 2 hours straight. That's just in terms of my hands getting sore too.
Hey,
All
the
right.
So,
shufflers are,
um,
are very
I'll look into the
convenient.
shuffling and then it will set it all to rest.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Cindy, would
Yeah.
could you, so first of all, I think John has some visions for this casino night.
Okay.
And he's obviously not here to share them, but if you could maybe send the information you have in an email to all of us, and then see if you get anybody that feels strongly about one thing or another, or a certain kind
Oh,
of
which
game. 'Cause I
games
just,
and what to buy and all.
yeah.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
made
yeah.
one up because I don't know what Texas Hold'em is. So yeah, I'll do
Poker.
that. I'll send it to
Just
everybody.
poker,
It's just poker, okay.
poker.
Yeah.
Like 5-card stud? I don't know.
No, it's different than 5-card stud.
Okay, that's all I know. So I'll send it out to all of you and then you can comment on it. How's that?
Okay, all
And
right.
I'll look up the shuffling.
I
Good.
don't think we have to decide right away, but
No, but I think it's really very viable for us to do that.
yeah, I think
That's
that'd be
great.
great.
Yeah,
It'd be good
thank you.
for kind of a variety night too.
Yeah.
Although John was stuck on, oh, what'd you find out about the karaoke? Karaoke?
I didn't look into karaoke.
Okay, all right.
Should I look into
Okay.
karaoke?
No,
No.
I don't think that's come up, but
Okay.
it could be interesting, I suppose.
Okay. Oh, no, it was name that too.
Name that
Yeah,
too.
but
I
I-
didn't do
Name
that.
that too. Okay, all right, let's just table that and we'll move on. Okay. Hawthorne's planning.
Just a quick, I don't have any updates from the last time because the next meeting is Thursday, June 13th from 6 to 10 p.m. But at this meeting, the public access working group is going to be discussing and confirming which trails and parking alternatives, including trail uses, to recommend to the Mid-Penn. The PNR committee is where it goes next, which I believe is something in natural resources. And then from there, the PNR committee will move it on to the Mid-Penn board for consideration. And the ad hoc committee, of which Patty and I are on, have expressed concern. And after the Mid-Penn board looks at it, there's going to be a study session with the town council. But what the ad hoc committee asked for, and it isn't happening, is some kind of involvement with our planning commission prior to Mid-Penn going all the way down the road. So I am hoping to get something out to the planning commission so they're aware of it, and maybe some of them can attend the meeting to address it. And there's sort of two issues, and if I can share my screen, hang on a second. Oops, I can't, wait. I'll just show you what I personally think the issues might be as it comes to the town. Okay, so hopefully you can see, oops, how do I get rid of that? You can see this. This is in the last meeting. This is what they presented. This is Alpine Road right here where my cursor is running, and this is Portola Road. This is Roberts here, and this is the main entrance that goes up to the Ranger's house. So the two parking alternatives that they really seem to be looking at are over here, parking option 9, it says, but it's near this number 3. So you would come in and you would immediately turn right. And because this is a smaller area, they can't do as much. There would be 30 spots instead of the 50 that they've been planning. And the other one is over here where you would go in an entrance by
Nathorst, isn't it?
no, not Nathorst, Hillbrook. This is
Oh,
Hillbrook
Hillbrook,
right
yeah.
here.
Oh,
This
Hillbrook,
is
yeah.
Nathorst.
Yeah, yeah.
So by Hillbrook, and you would go in and there would be more parking here. So this would be within the 75-foot setback of the road, because their interpretation is that the bathroom that they build, that's a structure, that would be 75 feet off. So that'd be in the back of the lot. And I do think there's an issue. I was talking to somebody who let me know that the parking lots along Alpine that we currently have, like Rosati's or Alpine Hills, and maybe there's something special with Ford Field. Those were all grandfathered in prior to the general plan and the 75-foot setback. So I think that could be a planning commission issue, and I think it should be addressed earlier versus later. And certainly the number of spots, because that's been you know, there's been a lot of varying opinions of that, and a concern that we'll have overflow parking if they don't put enough on site. And then the other thing that has been a source of contention is, do you see this white trail? This would connect to Sweet Springs Trail. And a number of ranch residents have sent in a petition to Mid-Penn that destroys their privacy and putting the trail here. But in terms of our general plan, it does call for trail interconnectivity. And in fact, in one of the maps in the general plan, it shows sort of a similar trail to this connecting to Sweet Springs. So again, I think these are planning commission issues. And Patty, I'm gonna connect with you later about making sure that we at least give the heads up on this, because that's the stuff that's going to get decided. And what will probably happen is the working group will make 2 alternatives to the PNR, you know, for their review, and then the PNR is going to pick one of those. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, but that's where it stands. And I don't have any more information from the March 26th meeting.
So an update from me is Karen and I have been talking about this off and on, and I offered to send John Goulden a message, which I have done, outlining to him what Karen just talked about, and indicating to him that it is our opinion, as Karen has stated, that the Planning Commission needs to be involved sooner rather than later if the POC group is going to make a decision, because if it gets too far down the path and the Planning Commission says, no, you can't do that, it'd be nice to know now versus later. I've not heard back from John Goulden. I imagine he's been pretty busy with the zoning. So I'm hoping that if that gets resolved, that
Quick note, Patty, he's in Italy bicycling, so it might be a little while before he gets back to.
well,
Wait,
that's
is there
not
a-
nice. Why
Is there a, oh,
why is everybody on vacation except for me?
For planning,
you've got your son's graduation on June 1st.
Well, I don't call that vacation. Okay.
But what about, is Nicholas Targ the vice chair? Should we try to connect with him?
I can do that, yeah. Do you know, I don't know when John is back. Yeah, I could send Nicholas a message. Okay. All right, anything else on Hawthorne's? Thanks, Karen, as always, for doing that. Okay, next on the agenda is discuss town court outstanding topics. Before we jump into that, I do have a note that there was a suggestion and a request by the people that utilize town court to potentially install a portable AED at that end of the field, particularly on the maintenance shed, because it's closer than the one at town center. And I don't want to begrudge the people that play there, but it's used a lot. And maybe a portable AED would be a handy thing to have. Rather than bring it to this committee, I did make the decision to go ahead and ask Sharif about that because I thought it was a very logical thing to ask. He also supported the suggestion, but he was going to look into the cost of it. Don't know how much they cost, but again, if we have room in the Parks and Rec budget and it's a reasonable thing to do, then I'll bring it back to this committee. But we do have his support, so I'll see what the next steps are on that.
Good.
I think that's a great idea, and if we have that extra money for this year, that would be a good expenditure.
I agree. Okay. Are there any other outstanding topics related to the court, issues of the court usage? Anything from the committee? Anything from the public? Okay,
Are we, let me ask you a question. Is this a topic on the basketball court?
yeah, these are the town courts, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I understand, is there somebody here to make the case on why we should do full court? That person is not here today, is that right?
I do not see that person in attendance, no.
Okay, I just,
If
let
that
me
person,
just,
hold on, Bob, if that person is in attendance and I don't have your name correct, and you want to make a statement, can you please raise your hand? Nope, okay, go ahead, Bob.
I just saw a note that said that the person was trying to have a full court play of basketball on the court 3. And I've been at the courts pretty much every day or most days for the last 5 years. And I've seen a lot of basketball shoot around, and I've seen a lot of basketball half court, and I have seen zero games that are full court. Never once did I see a full court game. And there could be 15, 12 guys playing basketball, but they always play half court. So if you don't have full court play when the net's not there, I don't think it makes any difference that there's a tennis net in the middle of the court, because all the play seems to be half court or shoot around.
Thank you, Bob. Other comments? Okay.
Good.
Parks and Rec supports the current configuration of the court, and lacking any other activity, I think it will stay that way. Okay. Any
Good.
other, Cindy, any word on the pickleball nets? Any
No,
new things
we
done?
leave them out Monday through Friday. No one, to my knowledge, has complained. I didn't check with Justin, but he would tell me generally if somebody
Yeah.
had complained.
Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble keeping my people, taking them off the courts on weekends, but I'll work on getting them to do that because,
Work up
once
into
they're out
shape.
all week. But what I did notice is that we often get residents now that aren't part of our group that just come and play because they're there,
Yeah.
which is really nice. I mean, I've
think
had
that's
families come
fantastic.
out, and it's just great
I think
to
it's
have those
awesome.
there. Yeah.
I did ping Howard on the painting of court number 3. And this was back in May, like the day before we had the big rainstorm.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait anymore, but he does know, and that is in his plan to repaint that court, just waiting for dry weather. So,
Do we pay for that?
that's a good question. So, the conversation I had with Howard was, there's a couple ways you could go about doing it, ranging from just, repaint, which is a fairly modest amount, to resurface and repaint,
Mm,
which is thousands of dollars. And he was going to assess the quality of the court and come back with a recommendation on whether we needed the latter, which would be thousands, or whether we could just do the former, which could be a paint job. I did
Yeah.
tell him that if there was a budget concern, and that if we did have room in the Parks and Rec budget, that we would offer to pay for the paint job, not necessarily the resurface job. But let me get back in touch with Howard and see if we can't get that resolved.
yeah, okay.
One thing that if somebody's going to look at the surface, you should have some people that are pretty regular tennis players look at it, because the judgment on is the surface good enough or not is going to be something that people who play a lot of tennis would know more about than Howard will know about it. And I'm not trying to downgrade Howard. I just think that a court is pretty, it can be a fast court and it's hard to play on, or it can be a very slow court and it can be hard to play on. So somebody that plays a lot of tennis should be involved in the decision.
Okay, thanks, Bob. So you don't support turning it back into a clay court?
That's the most expensive proposition you put out there. And then we're gonna, and then we're gonna maintain this clay court. Is that right?
No, we're gonna double it as a dog park, double duty.
Don't forget bocce ball, because if it's clay, we could
That's
roll the
right.
balls on it.
We could put down the oyster shells, and it could be a bocce ball. Did I take that off the agenda? I did.
Oh, you had it, you have it as a number F. Bocce court.
Oh, I do. Look at that. It's
Not
next.
number, letter F.
Okay, all
Oh,
right.
no.
The
Okay,
other
either-
comment I'd like to make before you leave the court, I have noticed, like as Cindy has mentioned, but I have noticed that now the college kids are coming back. They just walk onto the court and they take a court and they don't worry about any of the rest of us there, which is great. I mean, you're getting lots of utilization and the college kids have a good time. So I think you're getting good utilization out of those nets.
That's great. Any, how's it going with Corte Madera tennis team? Going all right?
Oh, they're finished, yeah. They finished, mid-May, yeah.
And it was very cooperative, I thought. I thought there was not a whole lot of problem with it.
Extremely. So this year she only had 6 kids that weren't in the A team. So basically she used one court most days. And it was court 3, by the way.
There you
Yes.
have it.
There you have it. I mean, it just worked out really well, We did, there was 2 days that she brought everybody. One was to play pickleball. So we opened all the nets and they could play tennis on one side and pickleball on the other. And the other day she just had them all there playing and doing exercises. It was kind of they were doing a treasure hunt or something. It was their last day.
Awesome.
So
Well-
it worked out really well this year.
It's great we're getting in court usage. Awesome. Okay. Wow, let's go on to a non-controversial topic. Let's talk about the dog park.
Dog park.
All right, so there's more folks on this call, and actually Dave and Lindsay were not on the call last month, the meeting last month, but I showed I went around in the area in
was.
San Mateo. What?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you were. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if
I'm
you-
sorry.
If you read the
Like-
minutes, you'd have showed that I had attended that meeting.
Well, it was John that wasn't there. Okay. So anyway, what we agreed on is to really start to assess the public sentiment for a dog park and all of that, and to put together a survey. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go over this survey draft, And what I would love, or what we would love, I will send this to you in an email with the text. So this isn't really about as much about editing or typos or that, but more about the subject and the content and making comments, or is there something that we're missing, or should we not include something, you know, sort of a larger context. So this would be a survey that we would send out electronically in the forum, and we would ask to go out through town channels. We know that doesn't reach every resident by any means, but it's a start. And we just thought we would start, and I'll just read this if you can. Portola Valley Parks and Recreation is considering a pilot program for an off-leash dog area. Current law requires that dogs must be leashed at all times. However, Portola Valley can adopt a local ordinance to allow a formalized off-leash area. This would provide a legal means to allow dogs off-leash in a given area, as well as improve safety and sanitary conditions. All answers will remain anonymous and used only to gather information for this survey. If you have any questions, please contact Karen Askey. So we would just start with that to make it clear. Number one, it is illegal right now, but number two is we can find a way to make it legal in a certain area. And then we start with how many dogs do you own? Anywhere from 0 to 3+. Do you ever let your dog off leash in certain areas of town? If no, skip to question 5.
If no, you
if
get
they-
a medal.
Yeah,
a
really.
gold-plated medal. If yes, where do you let your dogs off leash? And there we have Town Center, Corte Madera School, I'm not sure why, Corte Madera School, Ormondale School, soccer fields, hiking trails. And there isn't, and other, so they could fill it in. 4, what are the most important features of an off-leash area that would compel you to utilize the off-leash area exclusively and not use other areas of town? Because we do think that even if we have this area, people are going to still use other parts of the town. Parking accessibility, water availability, grassy field. Dave,
You want questions now or at the end?
why don't we do them at the end? Because this
Okay.
is pretty short. Grassy field, trails, garbage can, poop bag availability, fenced in area. Because just for those out there, the area does not need to be fenced in, depending on what we decide to do. A large space to be able to throw balls and or allow the dog to run. And we can have other in there. And then we have 5 is, why do you support an off-leash dog area? Safety issues, separating dogs off leash from public areas. Sanitary issues, helps keep other areas free of fecal matter, helps comply with legal requirements, provides socialization for dogs, allows for larger groups of people to congregate with their dogs. 6, why would you not be in favor of an off-leash dog area in Portola Valley? And that's text. And 7, is there anything else you would like us to consider? And they answer open-ended. And then last is, if you'd like to be contacted by a Parks and Committee member to discuss further, please provide your name and number. Thanks. So it's 8 questions, pretty simple. And yeah, love input on it.
One thing you should add is that
Oh,
they
wait.
now,
Okay. Sorry,
Um,
Dave had his hand up.
Yeah, do we wanna, for the hiking trails, do we wanna separate, like the town trails and the, like Windy Hill open space trails, or do we not even care?
What would be the benefit in separating it?
Well, we can't dictate
Yeah, they're kind of different.
the law in
jurisdictions.
Midpen. Yeah, I think Dave's right. It'd probably have to be only town hiking trails. Because we can't.
Okay, so so do people understand that I mean, maybe the issue too is people don't understand that Windy Hill is not town owned. I don't know how, so I could just say town hiking trails, parentheses, not Windy Hill.
Hmm,
I don't think you need to specify that.
Okay.
Trails are
What if,
trails.
what do? Okay,
Does that
One
get at
other,
what you?
I think there's a
Dave,
lot
does
of
that
people
get
that
what
don't
you-
understand. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that Windy Hill is mid-pen open space. Because
Is
it's in
it-
the town of Portola Valley.
Is it off leash or not?
No,
No.
it's not supposed to be, but everybody does
But he does.
walk their dog, they're off leash, almost everybody.
one field you should add is the baseball field, the grass part of the baseball field, because there are dogs out there regularly, all the time.
That's true.
that's town
You're,
center,
you're
right?
talking about a Ford, you're
Town
talking
center.
about Ford Field?
No,
Town
I'm
center.
referring to Town Center baseball field,
Well,
Well,
just say town center sports fields.
you know, whatever, whatever that
yeah,
is.
because they're on the
Soccer field, too.
soccer field and they're also by the library.
They're in every
Okay.
grassy area.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're all over town center, so we weren't really distinguishing on that. I don't know, how do others feel? Do we need to, because we do have people that are over by the library too.
Just say
And how-
grass areas, town center grassy areas.
Yeah, I like that.
What's the
Well, there's, okay,
what's the
Okay.
soccer? What's the soccer fields? Is that just Rosati's?
well,
No, there's one at town center too.
Well, but is that the town center grassy areas or
It's grassy.
so?
So make it just the Ford Field. And
you mean
Rosati
Rosati's?
Field. Rosati Field and Ford Field.
To me, the bigger issue that is above that is how many people just don't want to be in, I'm going to use the term loosely, yucky dog park. And they love the fact that they can let their dog run loose on Zots Field or the town center or wherever the hell they do. And I don't know how you capture that, but I do think if we put in a confined dog park, a lot of people are going to resist because it doesn't matter which of those fields they're abusing, but they're abusing a field because they like that freedom and they don't want something else, which is obviously an issue, but I don't know how we capture that in the survey, but I think that's a big thing.
A similar question or comment about the grassy field. What do we mean meadow or do we mean perfectly manicured and irrigated soccer or baseball field?
Um,
Well, we mean that does
green
not mean
grassy.
a meadow. It means,
the green
Um,
grass.
like
Okay.
a lawn. Do you want to say,
I don't know, turf, I don't know.
Yeah, they like the green grass fields. They don't like the dead brown fields.
So
Yeah.
Dave Cardinal, to go back to your comment, we talked about that. But the problem is, and you brought it up, there's just no way, well, we couldn't think of a good way to put that in the survey because, to your point, the people that want to run their dogs off leash are gonna do it. Whether probably we have an area or not. So, I mean, there's really, you ask a question like, well, are you still gonna do it whether we have an area or not? Or, I don't know how to phrase it. But I agree with you. If there are certain people we are just not going to attract, and that's gonna come down to an issue of enforcement.
That's
Mm.
right.
what
We
if,
can't
what if we,
enforce it.
what if we add on this one, because, sorry. So this is the one where we actually say, what are
And
the
ignore-
most
And
important
ignore
features
everything else.
that would compel you to use it exclusively, and then we just put at the bottom, I will continue to use other areas of town. Or is that, I mean, does that go there? This is where we're trying to get to the exclusive use idea.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it there. I don't know if people are gonna answer, honestly. I don't know if those are the people that are just not gonna fill out the survey. I mean, I would be careful if we put that in there. If we don't get anybody marking it to come to the incorrect assumption that that means
No,
that that's
got it.
not gonna happen.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the amusing, not amusing, but a question that would be great if we got an honest answer to is if you were fined $50 every time your dog was loose somewhere outside the dog park, then would you use the dog park and keep your dog in the dog park? Not that I'm sure we're either going to do any of that, but I think that to me is without that, people are just going to let their dogs do what they want to do
Yeah.
mostly. So
Yeah, and that's an enforcement issue that we can't
we can't.
New revenue
make
stream.
make a commitment to that.
I agree. I was just gonna say that, Dave. I think that's a way to close the gap. Close the gap.
Make it a
Hire-
$500.
Hire an animal control officer.
yeah, I think, our town's been pretty lenient forever about everything. And at some point, whether it's leaf blowers or dogs or parking, we could step it up a little bit.
I think we should, but okay. Other than that, any?
Yeah.
Do you guys think this is a good idea?
Yeah,
Can't hurt.
it's worth doing.
You want turf to be natural turf field, just so that we don't think we're. There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Karen, let's
So,
talk about next steps.
yeah, well, I think the first thing we should do is I'll send it to the Parks and Rec team, and you should go through the survey and fill it out, and then this is the time to proofread it more carefully.
Okay.
And then we can, I mean, as far as I know, and I'm open to more ideas, is that the only way we can really get this out is in the forum, and we should set a deadline. Actually, now that I'm talking about it, it's because we have to cut it off at some point to get the data, and to ask Carrie to run it in some of the town e-publications. She can put it in the weekly update, but I have to look at what other email lists are out there where it might be appropriate.
So I did send a note to Sarah and Sharif, letting them know we were planning on doing this and whether they had any concerns. Sarah said absolutely not, go for it. She's a big supporter. I have not heard from Sharif yet. So I think we need to make sure that Sharif is on board.
Okay.
I can call him. I don't envision a problem there. He's also supportive of it. I've talked to him, but I'm sure he's just buried right now. But let me get that first.
Yeah, and you can send him a link to the survey if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah,
do
that's
that.
true. We could,
Okay.
if he wants
Okay.
to see it.
Yeah,
Okay,
you guys are not a Brown Act committee anymore?
no,
Okay, because the wildfire prevention or preparedness committee or whatever is going through this with a lot of heartburn on a fire insurance survey. And they believe in their case that it has to be on the town website and all this and that. And so they're going all this to and fro, and they don't want to just post it on PV Forum. But I think part of that's because they're a Brown Act committee. So I'm good if you're just gathering data. But I was actually intrigued by how much heavy lifting they were doing to get their survey approved, even though it's a fine survey, and I think they should just send it out. But just something to think about, or conduct notes with Jennifer Hammer or MJ or whatever.
So I'm
I-
pretty familiar with Brown Act. I don't think there's any requirement. Well, whatever. You know what? I'll let them do their thing.
And,
Yeah, absolutely.
we-
As long as you're good, I'm fine with it. I was surprised by how much concern they had as a committee about things. So just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
Well, we, both Patty and I were on the ad hoc, ADU ambassador, non-Brown Act committee, and we were able to get a survey out, and it didn't seem to be an issue about ADU usage as well. Right,
Right,
Patty?
and
There were
that-
no, yeah.
Yeah,
That
no.
survey is actually on the town website. So what they were told was they couldn't have their own website or their, I just don't, I think it's great. I just
Yeah.
mentioned
I'm
it
not-
because they're kind of paranoid about it.
Yeah. Carolyn, did you have a comment?
Did she leave?
Yes, thank you. No, I'm still here. Thank you. I don't think it's something about the Brown Act. It's just a lot of people, including myself, we don't participate on the PV forum for numerous reasons. So I'm hoping that the survey goes through your town hall regular website, but you can advertise it on the PV forum for people who are not on the regular meetings.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's
It's,
my-
it's just a, yeah, we can certainly do that,
That's-
Caroline.
That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Okay. On a kind of related and separate note, I did send a note to Catherine, our town attorney, temporary town attorney, acting town attorney, whatever, and asked her the questions, Karen, that we had come up with on Springdown, which was 2 questions. One, there are existing fencing on Springdown, so we would not be erecting new structures, but are we allowed to repair and improve existing structures so that by default we could have a fenced area, which would be the Springdown property, without erecting new structures. Is that allowed? And the second question I asked her was, is there anything in the Springdown agreement which prohibits dogs from being on that property? She sent me back a note and said that given the town's financial situation, that she was not able to respond to our comments. Just telling you what she said. So unfortunately, that's on my list to talk to Sharif about. So I think what's happening is, we're on a budget and they're using her for, zoning and the housing element, which is fair, and that they're just watching the money that they're spending in that area. And I applaud them for that, but it just means that we can't get
don't
those
get in?
questions answered.
Yeah.
So, Carolyn, did you have a comment, or you just didn't lower your hand? Okay, didn't lower her hand.
Hey,
Okay,
hey, Patty, would it,
yeah.
would it make sense to also let Sarah know about that response from Catherine?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to see if she was copied on it, because I copied Sharif, Sarah, and Catherine all on the same one. So let me see if she responded to all or just replied to me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would be good, because I know how supportive Sarah is of that. So. Okay, anything else on the dog park? Good job. Making progress. Doggy steps, doggy steps. All right, bocce court. John's not here. Okay. Going once, going twice. Study session for recreational. It's on my list to talk to Sharif about. PV
And,
recreation. Yeah.
Have you heard anything about the I'm forgetting the name of it, but the playground and if that actually went
Little
forward
People's-
Magic
in
Little
some,
People's.
well, yeah, Magical Bridge, but did Katie? Okay,
No,
thank you.
nothing's happened there.
Okay.
No. And the only other thing, Karen, you and I kind of talked about this offline, but if you've been listening to the zoning discussions, they have been talking about common space areas in certain zoning areas. And they have been talking about playgrounds. They've been talking about pickleball courts, shuffleball courts. And so I think this is getting visibility. I don't think it gets to what we were talking about, but I think it's kind of approaching the visibility type of thing. But I still think we need to, push this. So Dr. Sharif about it. I just know it's just difficult to get on the town council agenda.
Can we go back to bocce for a second?
Sure.
Are we just waiting on John because he's the main advocate for it?
No,
I think that was.
I think I was the one that brought it up, and I think that we unfortunately, when Howard thought that we needed a regulation size bocce, and I'm not sure that's what we need. We just need a fun place where people can play bocce. I don't know. So, but it obviously has to be somewhere where it can be maintained easily, and I think that's a concern of the town, and with the budget and resources and all of that as well.
So are you just permanently tabling this till the next budget, or?
Well, it's tabled until the last comment was that we needed to look for another area. That the area we proposed was not workable.
Refused. Okay.
So if people have other areas of suggestion, that would be the next discussion area.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Discussing
I think sorry, I'm sorry to bring it up. I think maybe we need to decide if it has to be regulation size, or we could have smaller courts to put them in somewhere. Maybe we have to get feedback on that.
I have an opinion, but I always have opinions. Does anybody else have a thought? Maybe not an opinion.
Well, I don't think they need to be regulation size. They need to be decent size, but I don't think they need to be regulation size, because I think we're just out there to have fun. We're not looking at hosting the national bocce ball championships at our court. So that's my immediate thought, but I'm very open to discussion on that.
I would completely agree. I think half length, if you just want to have fun, is plenty. If you want to play regulation, then there's plenty of other places to go. So if people just want to learn and hack around, half length is not that easy. So I think that'd be great.
Other thoughts, comments?
Somebody has to look for a spot.
Need a spot. And then the spot
I mean,
might
that's more
dictate.
important than what you
the s-
want.
Yeah, the spot might
Where?
dictate what you can and can't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to volunteer to look for spots, not me.
I think it needs to be closer to regulation than not. But I don't, does it need to be exactly regulation? No. But if you throw in a bocce ball, I mean, it goes pretty far. So a short court would be kind of, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I think the spot will dictate more of it. So people can come up with a spot, put it back on the agenda. Okay. Recreational facilities, opportunities. Carolyn and I did have an offline discussion about this. We talked primarily about, again, the priority and just seeing, what reciprocity we could get with the priority. The fact that our agreement with them was done in 2010, so it's old. They did indicate a willingness to revisit it. The question I had asked was kind of, what are we solving for? Because it's not clear to me that we have a capacity issue when it comes to soccer fields. Not clear we have capacity issue when it comes to softball fields. It's clear we have a capacity, well, we potentially have a capacity issue when it comes to courts, but we all kind of agree that the priority courts are difficult to access and maybe not the solution. So I'm happy to go back to the priority to have a discussion. I just kind of need to know what we're solving for. Wasn't clear to me what we were solving. Is that a fair question?
Mhm. So Caroline brought that up, right?
Carolyn, did I paraphrase our conversation correctly? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, to start with, I actually had a question why this became a baseball field. Coleman Field was always shared with AYSO. And all of a sudden, the town paid for fencing that field. It was a surprise to all the residents in that neighborhood, but that's what happened. So yeah, it's now a baseball field, but it used to be used by soccer people, used to be by dog owners. And yeah, it's only 5 years ago that fence went up. So that was my primary question. Why was this done? And who decided on that? We need a solution for soccer players because Rosati Field, the adult team is okay because they play at 9 o'clock, but the kids cannot play because of the parking situation at Alpine Inn. And I love Alpine Inn. And I hope we can renegotiate that parking because I remember I mentioned to you what we see on the CUP and the planning and see how many parking spots that belong actually on land of Portola Valley. And I don't know who made that agreement to assign all these parking spots. Like I mentioned, Alpine Strikers, which is a younger team, they tried to fit in 2 games. It was May 12th and May 18th. And parents don't feel comfortable if they cannot park or they cannot drop off their kids at that field. So we have a real issue with soccer.
Okay, so on the second point, I agree with you. The contract for Rosati's needs to be updated. I'm sure that's on the town list to do, given that it's one of their contracts. I don't know if signing up for I mean, my understanding is the Priory soccer fields are used for some AYSO. Isn't that correct? I remember my
Not that-
son. I remember my
Yeah,
son
in the past,
playing there.
but somehow it's not being used anymore. I'm also concerned about the local schools because they're talking about fencing, putting more fencing and not making it open for the public. I've heard different explanations why they want to do that, but all these fields were being used. And when we were organizing AYSO, CYSO games, you can even ask MJ Lee. We used all the fields that were possible, and now we only have Rosati fields, a little bit the back on Town Hall, but I don't know how much that is already taken by other players, and that's it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look into that, Carolyn, because I'm not convinced that's true. So
Okay,
let me look into that, and
thank you.
I will I'll bring that back to this team. Now, regarding the softball field, my understanding is that was put in when the town center was renovated. Is that not correct? So that was 2010. It's been 14
Oh, yeah.
years.
2008.
At Town Hall, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's hasn't been a soccer field for many, many, many years.
When I mentioned the soccer field, it's behind.
Oh, the
It's
town center,
behind.
the town
Yeah.
center soccer field.
It's not the softball field. It's
Yeah, oh,
it's the
okay.
partial. Yeah. But it's in poor conditions. There's a lot of gopher holes, and so that's why soccer players don't like to play there, because they would have ankle injuries.
Which field are you talking about?
It's the
Town
soccer
center.
field at Town Center. It's all the way in the back. It's you access it if you were to go to the tennis courts, but instead
know-
of
we know-
parking there,
We know where
you
it is.
continue further.
We know where it is, Carolyn.
Okay.
It's the
thank you.
soccer.
I see
I wasn't aware
players there
that
all the time.
it was not in good shape.
No.
Pretty good shape.
I haven't heard anything from AYSO to indicate they have any problems with the field. I
Well,
mean,
I'll
it's
tell you
got-
what,
It's got
Well-
dog poop on it sometimes, but
when we all go to PV Palooza, we can check out the field.
well, that's gonna tear up the field. So. Okay, I'll look into AYSO field usage.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
texting the regional commissioner now.
Oh, good.
Who is?
Sarah King. I am.
Oh, okay. Okay. California State Grant. Actually, I did. This is another thing that I talked to Howard about, and that is that we wanted to continue to put the priority of spending the California State Grant dollars potentially on the bathrooms at Ford Field. Howard indicated that he'd be supportive of that, but he said the biggest issue he potentially saw was, again, a placement issue. So he said, you've got the 75-foot easement for the open space corridor, and then you've got the easement coming up from the creek, which leaves absolutely zero room for a bathroom facility. So he, in his opinion, he said this was another thing that we should go to the Planning Commission about, to ask them if we would be willing or open to a relaxation of any of the setback easements. That's an oxymoron, but easements or setbacks to allow for a bathroom at Ford Field. So I said, well, okay, that's a new wrinkle. So that was yet another thing that I was gonna ask John Golden about while he's cycling in Italy. So I guess that will have to wait. But that was a question I was gonna ask them. So Howard's suggestion was to get in front of the planning commission before we got too far down the path. Because all of the existing features that are at Ford Field, the parking lot and the snack bar were grandfathered. And any new structure would need to be approved by the planning commission.
So like when they put the batting cages in there, that had to be approved by the planning commission?
I do not know that.
It's a big
Maybe
structure.
you know,
Huh.
maybe that's not considered a structure.
It's
But
pretty
they
close.
also, they have the snack shack, which is
But
definitely
that was
within
already
70.
That was
grandfathered in,
grandfather.
but
That was
the
yeah.
grandfathered.
batting cages are newish.
I'd have to ask. Him.
I believe that they were talking about refurbishing, like doing a much better, nicer job refurbishing the batting cages, and that they couldn't do as much as they wanted because of the permitting issues.
Do you know if it was a planning commission issue?
I
Just
do not know.
other- All right. Okay, and I think we've talked plenty about Rosati's and Porterfield. So that's all I have. Any other comments, questions?
Just a quick update. I just got back. The AYSO is getting, had lost the school fields for their use with all the construction. They're getting Ormondale back in the fall, but they're not getting Cormadera because the drainage isn't right yet.
Oh,
So
So
the
it's-
loss of the fields is related to the construction and drainage, not to them not wanting people using them.
Yeah, because of all the construction at the two schools the last year or two.
But then
makes
why aren't they
sense.
getting Corte Madera back?
Because
drainage.
they're still dealing with drainage issues at CMS and are probably redoing the field again this summer, so we won't be able to use it in the fall.
Ugh,
They let dogs on it,
I don't think they let dogs on it.
like they do on the weekends.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, all right.
I do have a comment before you close the meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Patty, congratulations on Volunteer of the
Ah,
Year.
Yay.
That's well deserved. I haven't had a chance to say something to you, and I'm glad to be able to say it here.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Okay, calling the meeting to adjourn.
Okay.
Move
Thank
we
you.
adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
Yep.
see you all
Second,
next month or
Okay.
sooner. If you're
Hey,
lucky.
thank you.
All right.
Great.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Aye. Okay.